Ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-ba-bum-bum. How's it going, everybody? Mr. Holton here. How you guys doing? And welcome to another Friday live stream. Today we're doing something a little bit different because I do want to start ramping up the Exodus content. You might have seen that this week. I uploaded the first real lore series episode, and I'll be releasing these like weekly now. The next, I don't want to spoil what we're going to cover next, but we're going to cover various categories of Exodus. And I sort of wanted to go through things. Maybe you guys have questions about Exodus. Maybe there's something you don't understand or things that confuse you. So, let's get all in on Exodus. Just ask me your questions. I'll try to explain them as best as I can. Now, I cannot say that I know everything about the game, but I do know quite a bit. And I've been reading this thing from front to back a couple of times now, so I think I'm kind of in it. And just so you know, it's not something you can get right now. It's completely sold out, but I'd recommend you guys get this as soon as you can because it's really fucking cool. You should check this out. It's like, it has all the lore you kind of want to know. Like, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this. This is awesome. This game is my most anticipated game next year. We kind of know that is coming out next year. It's been slated by Hasbro. That could change, as we know, but I do trust it's going to be next year. This is my most anticipated game so far. Then, of course, we have The Expanse after that, but this is the closest one. At any rate, I'm super excited for this. Nope, not GTA. Yes, Exodus. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Exodus. Good day, Lamine. How you doing? And welcome everybody on YouTube. Iron Fist, how you doing? Lame. I have a question about that last week's stream about Mass Effect. Can I ask it also, or do I need to wait until the next? No, we can take it now. Just ask away, man. Ask away, because this is like a cousin to Mass Effect. So I mean, it makes sense, You may have noticed I changed my banner on the channel as well. So now we have Mass Effect, we have Exodus, and The Expanse. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Yes. Sci-fi RPGs, guys. Let's go. They cross-contaminate, so to speak. How you doing, JP Hall? I think that, no, JPen Hall. What's up, man? Prod Tech. How you doing? I know what you should cover. Yeah, yeah, 40k. I know I need to play 40k. I have played Space Marine, and I did. No, I want to play the Rogue Trader one. I haven't gotten that yet. I will someday. I have not read the book yet because there is also the Archimedes engine. I have not read that yet because I can't find a way to get it. I can order it, but I kind of want to, find it in a store. I don't know why I work like that. Greetings, Glilswat. Don't you think ME5 completely lost its spirit? 5 years since its first official announcement, and what we have since then is just 2 teasers and 3 posters. Can't be serious for such a game. I mean, the thing is, if you really think about it, like most of these hyped up events have mostly been due to like people like me, influencers that, have fun and we talk it up, and because, so many people care about it, it becomes like such a news piece. But really, BioWare has just been, they haven't really released much at all. But still, for somebody who like thinks in terms of theories and speculation and lore, it does become very meaningful, even if it's like small. So I get also that idea from people that think that they should release more, but we'll take it as is. We have other games to focus on, but I do get it. Yes, it would be fun to see more stuff, but I hate to say this, but it is what it is. Just started the novel Exodus, the Archimedes engine. It's great so far. Don't spoil. People have been trying to spoil me for a while. I really want to read that. The thing is, why I haven't really read the Archimedes engine yet is because it's not specific. Apparently, it's not directly super tied to the game itself. So it is its own, separate story that takes place in another sector. In another part of the cluster, so it's not like specifically super related. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can correct me on that. But that's from what I've heard. At any rate, I will read it, but I'm trying to focus mostly on the things that we'll, mostly see in the game for now. The sci-fi renaissance is coming soon. It is coming. We're in it, man. December is going to be huge. I'm telling you guys. You gotta watch this channel. You better look for content on this channel if you want to see more Exodus, because December will be, I'm not joking, huge. Big. So, Mass Effect Exodus and The Expanse is awesome for my part. Your streams have become a part of my Fridays now. Thank you, Ender Vin. I tried to translate that from Swedish. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. Will this be a standalone story, or do we need all of the lore beforehand to fully enjoy this game? Midori Dad, no, you don't really need to know this lore. That's what I'm for. That's what I'm for. I'm supposed to be explaining this stuff to you, and just to make this clear, I'm not paid by Archetype or anything like that. I'm just genuinely fucking psyched for this game. So, but being a YouTuber, it is my job to do this stuff. So, the more you know about a game, and the better you can understand its lore, the better you can understand the story and the universe and be immersed into it. That's how I see it anyway, right? You don't need to know this stuff, because I do think that the game is going to be very self-contained, but there's some really cool stuff about the universe, and it is not just a video game. They are building a franchise out of this, and so far they've done a pretty fucking good job of doing it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been talking to other creators as well that are super psyched. Another one who you might have seen, Wolfart FPS, we've been talking a lot about the game. He's also super psyched for this, so it's like, oh my god, this game, dude. But the thing is, I don't want to hype it up too much. Then again, it's like, it's looking really good. Exodus or The Expanse? Both, man. Just both. But Exodus is probably coming first. I'm just going to say that, So it's not, oh, it's Exodus is better or The Expanse is better. No, I'm psyched for both, but, Exodus is closer. And it's kind of different because this is more science fiction, and The Expanse is more like realistic. This is also kind of realistic, but this is like far into the future. So it's like 40,000, technically it's 40,000 years into the future, the Exodus universe. But due to time dilation, it's actually somewhere around like hundreds of thousands of years. I shit you not, that like the evolution that takes place due to time dilation it's freaky, it's crazy. So technically that's how that works. The only reservation I have with The Expanse is that it's the first time the dev has made a game like that. Could be a tech disaster. Could be, but I like Owlcat. I think they can do it. They're sort of like Larian in that way, They've created a lot of trust in their games due to the games they've released. So I think it's going to be cool. And, they wear their inspiration on their sleeve. Speaking of which, before we get... No, we're going to... should we have like an Expanse Wednesday? Maybe we should. The thing is, we have more to talk about Exodus right now than we do about the Expanse game, because we don't have that much really to cover about it. We are building up to that, but right now it's Exodus. But Mass Effect Monday, Expanse Wednesdays, and Exodus Fridays. How does that sound? Doesn't that sound great? But we do need more material from the Expanse, I feel, before we can actually do something. You got a Discord or nah? I do have a Discord, but we are gonna have to put a paywall on that because I've been getting a lot of bots. Unfortunately, there's no public link right now. I'm not really sure how to do it with the whole, Discord thing. It's kind of on the back burner for now. But yeah, we're probably gonna do like a, membership thing on Patreon, not on YouTube. So become a Patreon member if you want to support. Also, you get a bunch of extra content there as well. So hey, about the Mobile Relay 7, do you think it's the only one, or are there 7 or more in the world? I'm guessing there's probably more because it's like MR7, right? So I think it's probably one of several mobile relays. The thing from Mass Effect, that is. Hello, brother. How you doing? Welcome. We can talk about the Expanse world and what we'd like to see in the game. We could, absolutely, but right now we're going to talk about Exodus. So right now, I'm thinking we're going to do this little thing. Why isn't it... Why isn't it working? Okay, let's see. Where is it? There we go. There we go. There we go. We have a moving space wallpaper here. Look at this stuff. Look at this stuff. Amazing, huh? What, you don't have Amazon in Sweden for the book? Oh, we do have Amazon for Sweden. It's just, you know, I want to like buy the book physically in a store. Like I'm weird like that. I should probably just order it though. I am so insanely excited for Exodus, and it's the first time I'm part of the pre-hub for a game, so it's a special time, and also hope we don't get let down. Me too, man. Me too. You know, as much as I might be going, oh, this game looks great and stuff, you know, you never know. I can't guarantee that this is going to be like the most amazing RPG, sci-fi RPG ever, but I have a good feeling about it. I do. Mainly because of the people that are involved with it, like the writing and the world building, the characters. I do trust that part for sure. I just bought a pretty cool M7 from Temu for $3 and it's very high quality. Did you check out the Expanse preview from yesterday? I did. Yes, I saw that. Do you guys think we should see the video for the Expanse? Maybe like soft start a little bit before we go into the Exodus part? Where did you buy the Exodus Encyclopedia? I ordered it from the official webpage. So you can find that, let's see. Oh, okay. This wasn't right. There we go. Okay. So the Exodus official website, and I think it was the tabletop RPG book encyclopedia. Right, it's sold out, so you can't get this right now, but I'd recommend to check this out every now and then because it's you know, it was absolutely worth it. I don't think it's that expensive either. I think it was like $30 or something, but it's definitely worth it. It's really cool. Have you voted for the first game? No, I have not yet, but I will, and I will be voting for Clair Obscur. So I don't really think it needs it, but you know, for sure I will be voting for that. You didn't know there was an Expanse preview? Well, okay, let's go. Let's check it out. Just because, you know, this is still a sci-fi thing. We're still covering Mass Effect, and this is a Mass Effect adjacent game. We're gonna, you know, we gotta talk about it. We gotta show it off. Let's pause this thing. Let's pull this up. Bam.
One of the biggest fears of an astronaut doing extravehicular activity, or EVA, is somehow becoming detached and floating away. Hi, I'm Leroy Chow. I'm a former NASA astronaut and ISS commander. Owlcat Games asked me to help them to create what it's like to live and work in space. And then it's really a challenge to take that experience and make it into a realistic game, and that's where their team stepped in.
We wanted to strike the right balance, realism grounded in science fiction, not simulation.
Julia.
During real spacewalks, we actually use tethers to keep ourselves attached to the vehicle. In a reactive game, that would be too clumsy, and so Mag Boots is a creative way to kind of compromise and keep it realistic, but also be able to be reactive. But the fear is the same, becoming detached somehow and drifting away. And that's just one example. Even firearms would behave differently in space. Recoil and ballistics would also be different. People think about...
God, I love that blood splatter. I'm sorry, guys. Let's do this. I am a YouTuber. This is what I do. Look at that shit. Oh my God. That's so fucking cool. I love it. It's so gory. Just a cloud of blood everywhere. God, that looks so horrible. Like, imagine dying that way. Ooh. But, you know, that's the cool thing about The Expanse. That's why I love the show so much, because it, like, portrays space like its own, like, dangerous thing. It's super tense in that way. That's why I, like, love this show. And then, you know, this game as well, you know, hopefully is as, you know, tense, I guess. Looks really good.
Friend? People think about space as silent, but silence can mean danger. For example, inside of the spacesuit, there's a steady hum of the fan that's blowing oxygen over your face. The people at Owlcat Games did some research and figured out that vibrations caused by shots inside of a vehicle would translate to the hull and likely be felt through the mag boots.
We love the idea, but had to adapt it. Pure realism would mean almost no sound in combat. No vacuum, you hear more than Austiners do, but far less than in atmosphere. What you hear is what your character feels. Breath, comes, vibrations. The tension stays, and so does the fear.
Oh, that's so freaky.
The mission crews train for months, even years together. The commander is chosen first and sets the tone. Just like in the game, trust takes time and shared experience.
The ship is crew's home. To craft the right atmosphere, we focus on the smallest of details. Life in space changes tastes. Astronauts often crave spices just to feel such sensations again. On Pink, water meals created from what could actually be grown in orbit. And in the same spirit, you'll even hear your companions discussing food and ingredients on the ship. We hope that our approach to blending realism with gameplay considerations will make players experience something engaging and truly immersive.
God, the theme is so good, man. Let's go, baby! I can't wait to see more about this game. That's the thing. We don't still like, as much as I like seeing things like these, that wasn't like terribly a lot, you know, in terms of, oh, this is new material. This is like, oh, super, super duper interesting. I do find it interesting that they're managing to like really create this, you know, the gravity, you know, gameplay. That seems like they're going really hard on, and I love it. Just hope it gets like really properly, you know, used in the game for sure. Yeah, it's unfortunate they ended the show. Yeah, it never finished really. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. What can we do, right? At any rate, this is really cool, and we will getting into more, you know, expanse stuff as time goes on. Might get mag boots in Star Citizen at some point. At least I want mag boots. It's a cool idea. Still haven't, you know, I haven't revisited Starfield. So, hey, I wouldn't know. What I love about this game is what worries me in Exodus. It's grounded. Well, here's the thing, Nabu. Mass Effect is grounded, sort of, but it's also not. It's more similar. I think as much as The Expanse has devs that are clearly inspired by Mass Effect, I do think that The Expanse, or Exodus, is going to be more like Mass Effect in terms that it's sort of grounded in reality, but it's like hyper futuristic in a way. That's essentially the thing. Right, let's get into this about the Celestials, right? Where is it? There it is. Right. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw my video. If you haven't, let's do a little bit of a lore recap here. So in Exodus, right, there are these interesting characters, these interesting individuals, beings, called the Celestials. And now there are various Celestials in Exodus. It's not just one race. It might, you know, you might be thinking, oh, okay, Celestials, what are those? You know, what's up with the Celestials? You might think, oh, it's just one race of like evolved beings, but it's actually not. It's like a it's like a group of like evolved humans. And so these are that I'm showing right now. These are the Crown Celestials, right? The Crown Celestials are going to be like one of the main baddies, I guess, or main factions. I probably shouldn't say baddies because we don't really know if they're going to be like the bad guys. What we do know is going to be the bad guys are these guys. These are the Maruyama. these floating, disgusting meat sacks, I guess. These are also evolved humans. So what I find so very interesting with Exodus, right, is that it uses so many real world elements, but it like puts it so far into the future, and we try to imagine like through using science still to explain things like time dilation, you know, when you travel from one point to another and you travel the faster you go, the closer to the speed of light you go, the more time dilation you will experience. And so that is essentially what makes these things, right? These have evolved throughout like thousands of years, or should I should say devolved, because the Maruyama aren't really, you know, they are very technologically advanced, but they're more like organic monsters, I guess you could say. For example, we have another, you know, image here that kind of showcases what they can turn into. So they are like body morphers, right? They can turn into other things. And this is like one of the units you will probably, hopefully, run into in the game, because it has like a, you know, CG 3D model. So I'm guessing this is something we're going to run into. We have this thing right here. So weird and disgusting, but I love it. So there are like various types of Celestials you're going to run into, and they're like hyper evolved humans. They're not really humans anymore. They're the aliens of this universe. What did I miss, Relly? Not much. We're just going through some Exodus stuff. We're going through, well, we just watched a trailer for The Expanse, so if you haven't seen that already, check that out. They're bioweapons? No, not really. These are quite literally like individuals. They're not bioweapons, but this does look like Nemesis, right? For any Resident Evil fans out there, this, I was reminded instantly of Nemesis. I was like, huh, that is one disgusting motherfucker. But yeah, this is kind of what they can turn into. They can merge, so you have these floating sacks of meat that can merge with each other, and you know, you have two of these. They can turn into like a big blob of meat, and they can like start pushing out of the hull of their gigantic like ships, and so you see a bunch of faces on the outside of the ships, which is creepy. So you have stuff like that makes this universe really strange and weird. I also really, really like the idea of the crown queens, right? So these queens, these girls, they are leading what's called like a mind line. What that is essentially is that these Celestials, the Crown Dominion, they copy essentially their own memories and their own consciousness and everything over to a younger version of themselves. So essentially each queen is just basically the same queen over and over again. They're essentially immortal by using children, like their own children, to implant memories and themselves into. They're like literally reborn in their children over and over again. So it's weird as hell, but I love the concept of it because it gives them culture. It gives them like an identity, really. And that's really the strength of this game. Like a lot of these races, you have the Celestials, you have the Changelings, and they all have their really interesting history that makes them feel like actual aliens. We have, for example, these guys. These are called the Gyand. I think I'll be covering these the next video, but these are humans. These are previously humans. They're like gladiators, and they look like spiders, kind of like spiders, like the Dryads from D&D or from Baldur's Gate. So they're like these, right? Big spider-like things. That are really philosophical creatures, but they have this thing, right, where if you like, they have like these built-in reflexes where if you get too close, they can't help but like switch over their instincts and instantly like decapitate you. Like they're super dangerous, not because they want to, but because they're instinctively built by the Celestials to be like brutal killing machines. It's just so, it's weird and horrible, but really cool. Hey, Iron Fist, about Rogue Trader, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you could, but hold off for now because I don't want to get I don't want to get too sidetracked from like my coverage right now. I'll play it at some point. I'll tell you when. But thank you for the offer. Reminds me of Himiko Hime. What's that? Do you mean which one? The Celestials or the Gyond? Because I find them really, really interesting. They're of course not the only ones. And if you're like wondering, okay, what the hell is what's up with the Gyond? What's going on here? Essentially, the changelings are basically like, you could say, former humans that were kind of enslaved. Not really, but to break it down, they are like, this is also previously like it's built upon human DNA. So it's like, this is an organic supercomputer that is very skittish and can like use an EMP attack to essentially like turn off everything around them. They're like, computer viruses essentially that are like meat sacks. Really, really interesting. And essentially they are tools to the Celestials, these guys right here. Again, I find these Celestials really, really interesting as a concept. For example, we have this guy here who I think is going to be our companion. I think it's pretty much a guarantee at this point because we can see this guy on the web page. Let's see if we can find him. Characters, prologue, Traveler's Companions. So this guy is called Emmerich, and he's like a philosophic type Celestial. So he's one of the powerful ones, like the Celestials again are like the gods of the Exodus universe. And he, like, this outline is pretty much, you see the one in the middle? That's pretty much what he looks like. So that's definitely Emmerich. It's going to be really interesting, like, engaging with him. Because these guys are... They're kind of strange in that they have, like, a brain that is segmented into various parts. So these parts think independently of each other part. So they can seem chaotic and, like, individuals that you don't really understand, like they're super philosophical and they might think that you're following what they're saying, but you're actually not. And then they change subject, like, mid conversation, stuff like that. And then suddenly they can just decide to leave for no good reason. So they're weird as hell. Hello, new Javik. Sort of, if Javik was a dementia patient. I actually got one of those comments before. It's kind of like, it's going to be really interesting seeing him in the squad because apparently he's like ageless. He's really, really, old. With love, Exodus needs to shut up and take my money. For sure. For sure. Neuralancer, how you doing, man? How you doing? Welcome. They're literally scatterbrained. Oh, yeah, literally scatterbrained. They're hyper intelligent, but also really weird to humans, like in our view, because you just don't get what the point, like, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to help you, or are they just fucking with you? Like, what is this guy trying to say? He can suddenly decide to talk about the weather, and then he switches off and just starts yapping on about like a type of video game, whatever, like it doesn't matter. And he thinks it makes sense, but you're just, what are you doing? Looks like it will be considerably weirder than Mass Effect. Yes, I think that is the impression that we're supposed to get right now. But when we play the game, I do think that it'll make much more sense. Because again, like when you read the lore, it actually makes sense with like, their appearance and how they appear to be, like how their history, goes together. And it seems strange, but they're leaving small clues here and there to, what these individuals are, what these species actually are. For example, there's an idea that proposes that these guys, the Devas that he belongs to, are an ancient race that actually tried to essentially conquer the cluster, and they were like super militaristic, but they got like destroyed by the Elohim. I don't know how to say it. Essentially, it's like a race that is kind of similar to the Reapers and the Protheans in that they were like the first, or not the first, but they were the most powerful celestial empire, and they kind of shot these guys down. And they started putting order into the cluster, and everybody like obeys their rules and stuff like that. And so these guys were like their first actual, I guess, the first actual lawbreakers, the Elohims or Elohim's laws. That's what these guys broke, and then they, got essentially, destroyed. Elohim. Elohim. Man, that's gonna be hard to get right. You're proper getting into the lore? Yes, absolutely, Artemis. I feel like it's important to do that right now as we're closing in, because again, December is going to be pretty big, and I do feel like it's time to start ramping up. I actually I'm wondering if Exodus isn't actually closer than we think it is, because a lot of people seem to be going, oh, it's going to be releasing in in a year, for example, like in the holidays of 2026, but GTA 6 releases during the holidays. So I think everybody kind of knows that would be suicide for most games, at least for games that are AAA or that are, next-gen games or current-gen games. So I personally think, now I don't know this, I am guessing here, but I actually think that Exodus might be out the next 6 months. I don't think it's going to release in fall, and I don't think it's going to release in December. I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, because everybody's moving their games to the front now. They're gonna be moving their games to the front because nobody wants to be like standing in the way of, or be in the like line of fire of GTA. Nobody wants that. So, according to a dude I trust, it's most likely gonna be fall. Maybe. If it's like 2 months away from GTA 6, maybe. Yeah, maybe like two months away. But I don't think it's gonna be like, in December or in November. I think it's gonna be before that. Yeah, August could be, it could be August to November. Yeah, makes sense, I guess, yeah. Maybe August, yeah, something like that. Isn't Elohim the Aramaic word for God? Yes, I think, I'm not sure which culture has it, but yeah, essentially that's what I looked up. That's what it means. So the Elohim or Elohim are kind of goofy in that they decided to call themselves gods. That is arrogant as all hell. So I'm kind of expecting them to be like a bit puffed up on themselves, but then again, they've disappeared, right? So the Elohim, not this guy, the Elohim, the powerful race that they keep talking about. Let's see if I can actually put it. There's no arts of them, so we don't know what they looked like, but they are definitely here somewhere. Celestials, crown celestials. At any rate, like, they disappeared for some reason. They're just gone. Kind of like the Protheans. Again, they just mysteriously disappear. Except Insomniac with Wolverine, they said they aren't scared of Rockstar. I mean, just because GTA 6 releases, right, it doesn't mean that you can't release a game in the same month. But I do think you should give it like maybe like give it some space, at least like 2-3 weeks or something between, because if you release a game like a week before GTA 6 comes out, people are just gonna play your game for a week, and then they're gonna switch over to GTA and kind of forget about your game. And if you release it right after GTA, it's gonna be lost in the sauce, so nobody's gonna care about your game. So the best thing to make the most money is to like place your game at least a couple of weeks or so before and at least a couple of weeks after. Because otherwise it's like, oh, dude, especially afterwards, after GTA comes out, it's over. You should probably hold off like a month or two before releasing your next game, because people will be playing GTA 6 a lot. You don't think it's coming out until 2027? I don't know, man. Well, they've delayed it several times now, so it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, everybody keeps moving their schedules. As soon as like that happens, everyone's like, oh shit, oh. I find it very interesting. Nobody wants to be in the like impact area. Celestials are like the Anunnaki in Sumerian mythology. Maybe. I mean, they are this mysterious, godlike type alien race. And again, they're technically not alien because they are humans that have evolved, but they're so absurdly advanced. And here's what I like a lot. So the Elohim, they're, and I don't want to spoil what it is exactly if you guys haven't read the book, but there is a thing that they can use, or they could use, to move entire planets. That's how powerful these guys are. They can literally move, or they could literally move one planet to another system. And that's how they usually did things to make them habitable, right? Because the one thing about the Elohim is that they want to make sure that nobody harms any habitable worlds, and they're trying to make worlds habitable across the cluster. That was essentially their whole deal. So as much as they're kind of arrogant pricks for calling themselves the Elohim, they were trying to make the cluster livable. So I guess they are, you know, pretty cool in that way. They're pretty benevolent. Notarni Cola with the Prime. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate it, and welcome to the Ensign Squad. Remember to use those emotes. Satham, hint, yes, kind of. You have a friend at Rockstar who told you 2027 at earliest? Oh, really? Shino, I actually refuse to believe that GTA 6 is a real product. Rather, I believe it to be a threat from Rockstar to put pressure on the industry. No, I will be not swayed from this gaslit opinion. Oh boy. Oh geez. Do you actually believe that, or are you just joking? You're probably just joking. Like the Transformer tech, then trying to move their world to Earth? Yes. But in comparison, I would probably still place the Elohim above Transformers, because they did that for, like, that's just every day to the Elohim. They just moved planets. You know, they're that powerful. But then again, nobody really knows what happened to them. They sort of disappeared. What went them into thin air? Maybe they became like energy or something like that. But I think we're gonna delve deep into that with the game itself. I do think that we're gonna, you know, explore what actually happened to the Elohim. Elohim. God damn it. I don't know, man. Who called me? Are you the Elohim? So they're like the Celestials from the Marvel universe, like fast traveling using a black hole. Yes, but they're not like Titanic, I guess. I would say the Celestials from Marvel are probably a snip more powerful, considering what they like do, and they're like these huge, massive things, humanoids. But I would say they are the ones who have built. Where is it? Where is the thing? There we go. There we go. Okay, so the Elohim are the ones that built these, right? The gates of heaven. They're like the mass relays in Mass Effect. They send you from system to system. You speed up to, I think, is it past light speed? At any rate, you reach your destination pretty quickly through these things, and that's what you experience the most of the time dilation for. But they built these things, the Elohim, you know? And so, yeah, kind of. They're similar in that way, you know, they're super hyper powerful, and it's very interesting to see, like, okay, but what role do you actually, like, do they actually play in the entire story of the game? Now, my personal hypothesis is that they are the ones that are causing this. There's a technological breakdown going on in the cluster, in that there's something called the rot. So there's a technological rotting. I don't know if it's a virus, but it's something going on that's killing technology. And my personal theory is that is the Elohim that are like spreading their tech or something. Like I do think it's caused by them for some reason, because they have previously apparently shut down entire planets. Like they can shut you out from using these gates. That's what they do, essentially. So I'm thinking they're probably the ones that caused that, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just having this feeling, man. I just have this feeling. These benevolent gods, maybe they are not as benevolent as we might think. A description of the functionality of the gates of heaven in the book is incredible. I would imagine so. I've just taken everything from the lore book here, from this thick-ass lore book. There's actually not that much info about the gates of heaven, I think, in the in the lore book. Let's see. But god damn it, I forgot. The thing is, there's so many things in this universe that they've already packed into it, right? So, of course, we have the Awakened, right? I think I should show that on this thing instead. There we go. So, Awakened Octopus. We've already seen an octopus in the official new poster. And Awakened, if you're not, like, you know, aware of what an Awakened is, essentially they are animals that have been uplifted, right? So super intelligent animals. Sometimes they're as smart as humans, sometimes slightly less smart than humans. Sometimes they're smarter than humans. And no, just for clarification, yes, they can talk, but apparently they can't talk like with their mouths. So you're not gonna hear like a squid go, "Oh, hey, June, would you like some, you know, tentacles in that tea?" No, but like they don't talk through their voices. They use voice boxes, right? So they have like artificial voices through technology because they can't speak as of yet, you know, the Awakened. So no, don't be worried. You're not going to see a bunch of like yapping dolphins, you know, talking through their voices, or, you know, wolves that speak like in a fantasy setting or stuff like that. They're still animals. It's just that they, you know, they use technology to actually speak. So it's like synthetic voices, right? Which makes sense. Elcor, kind of. Currently out of stock everywhere. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to everybody who doesn't have this book. I do. I'm so cool. No, but I really enjoy this thing. Speaking of which, there is a bunch of other things if we go over from the Awakened. Oh, by the way, ravens. These are ravens. They're this big. Isn't that cool, huh? You can probably, like, you know, take flight on a big-ass raven. Isn't that pretty cool? There are constructs. So, yes, there is synthetic stuff. Machine servants. We're going to be seeing that. We're going to see androids. Very cool. Ghosts that are celestial remnants. Really cool stuff. Can you not make pics of all the pages? You mean like cut them out? I don't think, you know, I don't think I'm allowed to essentially like print out every page, but you know, I can use some material just for the sake of, you know, covering it on the channel. But there's a bunch of stuff here that I, you know, don't want to go overboard with, but there's so much cool stuff. Now I can feel as Javik when he was defrosted. What do you mean? You're confused. I wish we had awakened wolf friend. You know, it's not impossible, because if we, let's see here. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but here we have a wolf, right? So, and that seems to be June. I think that is June talking to the wolf. And they're having some form of communication, some conversation here, which is very interesting. And I wonder what that will sound like. But yeah, they you know, they will be using like synthetic voices. So don't expect like a, you know, talking wolf in that, you know, manner of sense. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I have my personal theory again, right? And I've been thinking about this a lot. Here we see another awakened frog that we see in the trailer. Voice box equals Hertz converter, like a speaker with a computer converter. Yeah, kind of, sort of like that. I wonder if we can be a ranger. I will use an awakened tiger if so. Oh, wouldn't that be badass? Wouldn't that be cool? There's so much potential with the stuff they can do. Let's see here. What was it that I was gonna find? Yeah, at any rate, show the two ogres. Do you mean the... Which ones? Which ones do you mean? Do you mean the changelings? Please no Baldur's Gate wolf action. I don't, you know, I don't think that's gonna be a... I don't think we're gonna have that. It's probably not gonna be that, you know, that amount. Raby, how you doing? Welcome. I must have a cat by my side. Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So my personal theory, right, is because if we look at this thing, I've talked about this before. If we go to, we can see that it's clearly an octopus, right? But for some reason, I can't help but wonder if this mech, right, that this is just a containment in order for our June to be able to bring their own awakened companion. What I mean by that is that maybe, and I have no qualms about having an octopus companion. Don't get me wrong for, you know, all of you, you know, Emperor romancers. But what if you can actually decide what awakened you bring with you? So maybe this is just an example. Maybe this is just to throw us off. And that actually this octopus could, you know, with equal chance be a cat or a dog or anything other than an octopus that controls this mech. You see what I'm trying to say here? Maybe it's not specifically an octopus. Maybe you can, because there's such an emphasis on awakened in Exodus that I'm thinking that maybe it's not actually specifically an octopus. And I don't have a problem with, having an octopus companion again, but wouldn't that be very interesting? I hope we get to choose. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Go frog. My brother is going to become he's going to bring a frog to his missions if that is the case. Satham, you doubt it? Yeah, it's in most likelihood, it's probably what we're seeing here, like an octopus, which is going to be really interesting in of itself. But I do wonder. Awakened Panda romance route speedrun any percent. I do wonder how far they're going to take this stuff, though, because, we saw what worked with Baldur's Gate 3, and, well, when you have a lot of things you can do, people generally respond in a more positive way. So I do wonder what the options are here, What are our romance options? Are there actually going to be... Is there actually going to be a possibility... I don't think it's going to be, because it's going to be way too weird. But you never know. You never know. Octopus in lore were known for controlling tech. Does it say that? I don't really... Well, I do know that they are... they do help humans. But I'm not really sure... to what extent exactly? I can't bring them up right now, but yeah. It's not an octopus, it's a squid? No, that's not a squid, that's an octopus, for sure. Because a squid is like, they're more arrow-shaped. Slim. Well, the companion list looks boring, only 2 female characters. Well, maybe there's more, maybe there's more from where that came from. Maybe it's not just, 2 female characters. That's something I wonder as well. But then again, Mass Effect, for example, also had like a squad of, was it like 5 or something? But, if the writing is good, then that's all well. Also, you could just play a female June. If you feel like there needs to be more females in your squad, you can just play a female June. Maybe the octopus is actually female. Whoopsie. God damn it. Speaking of romance, I do hope that the 5 companions aren't the only romance options. Yeah, I hope so too. There is like romance outside of the squad where you can actually get to know people. And, have a relationship with them, because it does make sense of having a relatively small companion roster like this that you bring with you on combat missions and just missions overall. But then I think there should definitely be other characters that you can get closer to and stuff like that. So, yeah, I hope so too, for sure. Go gadget takoyaki looking thing. Takoyaki, what is that? I think one of the companions is Ava, June's mother, you think? That would be kind of weird, having your mom be your companion. Not gonna lie. But you never know. Yeah, I hope there are more characters for relationships as well. Yeah, for sure. Wouldn't stop June. You mean it wouldn't stop you playing as June? If the octopus is romanceable, I genuinely hope they don't go all in on the scenes depicting it. We don't need another The Boys moment. Well, we did get the bear scene in Baldur's Gate 3, so I mean... But yeah, it would be more similar to the boys for sure. Octopus, their intelligence is significant and can be compared to that of some mammals or a young child due to their ability to solve complex problems, use tools, and learn through observation. Yeah, exactly. That is essentially what they actually go through in the lore book, for sure. Raise up the villain and romance her. God. You guys. The boys moment, yeah. With the octopus for sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, they should probably do something like that because that would be hilarious, you know, just for the memes, just to have fun, you know, poking some fun at some stuff. I wouldn't seek it out myself, just like with the Emperor, but I would find it extremely hilarious. Their ability to use tools makes them smarter than most people I know, let alone children. Yeah, for sure. Octopus are super intelligent. I kind of want one as a pet, but I don't want to invest in all, you know, the aquarium and stuff like that. So, yeah. And they don't live for too long. So it's like, you know, as much as it would be cool to have one, it's like, nah, it's too much effort. Yeah, Baldur's Gate did with the house and bear scene, yeah. When you romance the octopus, do you get to say enkindle this? Honestly, if they do romance this, it should be just Tom and Elise. I feel like too many games nowadays are just becoming dating sims with light RPG elements. Well... The more choice, the better, as long as they can at least focus a lot on the gameplay and just have the game have a lot of elements that you can engage with. So if you just want to, you know, if you don't care about romance, I think there should be a huge focus on combat and exploration and all that good stuff, because that is the main thing really. But when you're back in your quarters, you know, I do think that a lot of options romance-wise should be there, but the writing for sure has to be something that really sticks, because usually when it comes to like romance stories and things like that, the biggest problem to me is that not all romances work, right? But those that do are really memorable. So, you know, Tali, Liara, Garrus, you know, Shadowheart, Astarion, Minthara, my baby, you know? It's all about the writing, really. And yes, you know, sometimes some games can go overboard, but I don't know, it kind of depends on the game, really. For a game such as Exodus, I think there's a lot of expectation of there being actual romance because it belongs to the same type of genre that Mass Effect and Baldur's Gate belongs to, you know, these cinematic experiences that are very, you know, very focused on choice and consequence. So, you know, specifically for, you know, that it's a writing problem, I think. I'm pretty sure she's the woman in one of the cinematics standing in front of June. You mean this white-haired woman? Yeah, that's definitely her. Tom and Elise are a good start, but some dateable aliens would be nice. Maybe changelings, maybe celestials, maybe. Octopus's pet cam, like AFK screen on stream. Yeah, that would be fun, actually. Romancing characters feel like end credit scenes from movies. Everyone's expecting it, but never lives up to set expectations. Some do for sure. Again, I do think Liara Tali works pretty well, and Shadowheart, absolutely. For some people, the bear, yeah. The reason why Emmy was so great was that romance in Garrus was awesome, but he was also an awesome bro too. Both sides were well written. It's all about the writing. Like, can you write a well-written, well-rounded character that you care about? then I think, you know, they should go all in. But it can't come at the cost of the game, like, having not very good gameplay. It, like, has to go both ways, really. Oh man, I really wanted them to let us romance Celestials, except for Mariama, then again. You're saying that you wouldn't be banging this thing? I mean, you don't, like, we don't know. Maybe it is possible. I mean, you got these, right? You got these queens, right? So, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. I just got back. Has anyone discussed the possibility of a character creator or not? No, but I do think there will be one. They have hinted at the Q&As that you will be able to do customization because you can pick between female June and male June. So, yeah, there will most definitely, I think, be a character creator, but it will be, again, more like Mass Effect and Baldur's Gate in that it's probably not as detailed as something like Dragon's Dogma 2, right? I think this is going to be more like akin to, yeah, you pick a certain facial structure, you pick a set of eyes that works well, because they have to mocap everything and make everything good and work well. So I think it's more like, you know, it's not the most detailed thing, but it's detailed enough to where your June actually stands out. That's what I think is going to be. So, you know, different hairstyles and yada, 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 skin colors, faces, headsets, but it's not going to be this, you know, Dragon's Dogma 2 or Black Desert Online type character creator. I don't think so. But they have, you know, they have teased about that being a thing. Not The Sims, no. It's probably not going to be that detailed, but it's going to be detailed enough to where it's like, oh yeah, I like my June. You know, this looks good. A romanceable or bromanceable characters like Garrus would be nice. Yeah. I have a feeling, but then again, you know, this guy, I think Emmerich here is probably going to be, is it Emmerich or is it Emrys? Emrys. Sorry, I said the wrong word or the wrong name. It's Emrys. So I think he's probably going to be romanceable. I don't know. I'm guessing. That works. It just goes a long way with immersion when it's a character I've picked the design for. Yeah, for sure. But I think it's going to be a little bit more simplistic, but it's probably going to be deep enough to, you know, where it feels different. But then again, I can't guarantee. Maybe the, you know, standard June look is what you get, which, you know, would be kind of disappointing. But again, it's like, oh, okay, well, as long as the rest of the game delivers. But I do agree that I do want a character creator for sure. Can we consider June a Uranic? He or she is either a Uranic or half Celestial. Because early on, with the reveals, I think they've changed the text and now it no longer says half Celestial, but I do remember there being something about June being a half Celestial on the official webpage before. But it's no longer there, so I think maybe they're building to the idea that June is Uranic, which means that June has celestial genes. It's not that he or she is specifically half celestial and that June has a celestial mother, that being Ava, but Ava was, I think Ava is still her name. Let me check. The Traveler story. Become the Traveler. And in case you're like one, again, to make it clear, yes, as a hunter of secrets and alien technology, inheriting the gift of neural induction from your mother, Ava, born of celestial heritage. Right. So it doesn't longer, like, it doesn't say that she's a half or that she was a celestial anymore. So it's she's born, either she is born of celestial heritage or he is born, or, you know, June is born of celestial heritage. So June has genes from a celestial, which lets them engage with technology from the celestials. I don't buy the half celestial bit given the reproduction of crown celestials. Yeah, but I don't know if that was like an error or if it was somewhere else, but I do remember it being something about a half celestial. But it seems more like it was, you know, celestial heritage. The question though is, but how did they get that heritage? I don't know. Is that explored in the book? As far as I know, like, it doesn't really get explored yet, or it hasn't been explored yet. Right here, to ensure humanity's survival, Orion, that being June's father, and Ava sired a child genetically engineered to bridge the worlds of humans and celestials. Humanity's last hope, that child is you. So maybe June was born in a tube? Maybe you're like a lab kid? Or maybe they somehow found a way to make Ava, who might be a celestial, knocked up with a regular human. Very interesting. Very interesting. Right, yeah, it says that here. So it's like, okay, but is that, what are they trying to say here? Is that like, is she actually a celestial, or is she just, you know, of celestial heritage? At any rate, June has celestial genes. Maybe forbidden love, yes, but as Sathim said, like, apparently, like, the Crown Celestials' reproduction methods aren't really human anymore. How to describe it? The males are essentially like kangaroos. They have like these pouches where they carry the child to term. So it's not the females, it's the males that carry. So they're like, you know, more like kangaroos in a way, strangely enough. And so it's like they don't really have human reproduction anymore, right? You're just a test tube baby? Maybe. You're basically like Grunt? Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, somehow genetically engineered. But who knows, maybe I might be misremembering about Ava, but I do remember something about that. Another question would be, which celestial genes does June have? Well, enough to be able to manipulate Livestone, or manipulate, what's it called? It is Livestone, right? I think it is. That's what it's called. Why is June the last hope? Last hope of what? End of a race, end of the universe, or what? I would say the rot. I think it brings it up here as well, actually. So it's like a technovirus, right? Yeah, celestial technovirus known as the rot. Stopping the rot was beyond any human capabilities, even those of the mighty Orion Aslan. So they made June through genetic engineering, essentially, and that's you. And so you have apparently, and the thing is, they put a lot of importance on June, so I don't think that June is just a Uranic human, as it's called, because if June is the last hope of humanity, and there being other Uranic humans, then what makes June so special? That is the question. Ava might be descended from a celestial species that retained human reproduction. Yeah, probably something like that. Probably. That's right. Yeah, Livestone, and he can access their tech systems. Right. Quintus, how you doing? Welcome. Do we even know all kinds of celestials? There are probably more human-likes around. Well, from the book we know of the Big Four, that I don't know if all of them will be in the game, but we do know that the Crown Celestials. The Deva will for sure be in the game because that looks like one of the companions. That's one, and they look relatively human, I think, except for maybe this guy. Then we have, of course, the Crown Celestials. We have the Keladai that look like this. I don't know if they're going to make it, but I think they will. And then the Mariyama, which are going to be probably one of the villains. Maybe the main villain. Who knows? But there's definitely more Celestials out there. There's tons more. But like most of them, we don't really know much about. The main big four in the encyclopedia, though, are these four. I think the silicates were created as a weapon during the war. Maybe there's also a theory that they're not actually connected to humans at all. That they might actually be extragalactic. No, not extragalactic, but they might be the first sort of product or creation of another life form, which they discuss here as well. There is an idea that maybe that's what they are. Maybe they are, but who knows? There are an insane number of Celestials that are not discussed but noted generally existing in the book. I think that's good for future lore games and books. Yeah, the thing is, the idea with the Celestials is that they're offshoots of humanity, and given that it's technically been like hundreds of thousands of years, that it says in the book at least, like due to time dilation, that they've evolved, that gives like so much potential for creating new Celestials or, other powers. And due to time dilation, you might be going from one place to the other and like 100 years have already passed. And so you might end up with a new celestial race during that time. So you don't even need to really go too in depth of, oh, how did they manage to, hide themselves out in the stars all this time? But, you just go, well, they developed while I was out traveling between the stars due to time dilation. So it's like, oh shit, wow, that's really easy to explain. But why do they bond to humans and not Celestials? Good question. Good question. There's a lot of unanswered questions we have for Exodus, but a lot of them are like clearly meant to be mysteries. Yeah, it's good. They do have so much material to work with by any virtue of just the physics of their universe. Exactly. It's just how the universe works. They have so much storytelling potential that if you want to cover like do a sequel, you can set it like hundreds of thousands of years into the future. And it doesn't even need to be something like you really gawk at. It's like, time dilation. Of course. There may be celestial domains which we aren't sure are celestials. So that would be the difference. Yes, for sure. Who were the ones that could move planets and stuff? Maybe they were more like human. Yeah, that would be the Elohim. The ones that built the gates of heaven. Again, they're the ones that build the big portal things that they go through. But yeah, they can essentially move planets. I'm not going to say due to what, but they can. Or they could. Because technically they're not... they're gone, kind of. Maybe. Maybe they're not. Hello, him. Right. So will different choices we make change the future timelines? Yeah, I mean, they have already, they've already given us I'm not sure if the teaser is still here, but they did release a teaser a while ago where you could see what your choice would result in. And it was between, no, it's not here. They've actually, I don't know how to get that footage again, but it was like 2 trailer cutscenes essentially, where in one you give like an, I don't know what it is, to a silicate, and we see a silicate cinematic of a, silicate. And then we see another cinematic of somebody using these big armors to move around in, like a gladiator match. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a big emphasis on choice, but I don't know how far it's going to span. If it's going to be like millennia or centuries. I have a real question, but do you think it will be have as an example, a news station that comments on our decisions? That could be really cool. I don't know if I dare answer that because I don't know, but it would be really cool. I mean, Matthew McConaughey has a really big role apparently in the game, and I think, didn't they say in the Q&A? No, I can't promise this, but I remember that they said something about him being very important to your journey and to your specific journey. So maybe he's gonna comment on your choices. So maybe he's gonna be like your news station in that way or something like that. People have speculated whether he's just a voice, from maybe like a news station or like a radio station, or if he's an AI that jots down your journey, or if he's something else. But yeah, probably something like that, I would imagine, because I mean, you would have to see the consequences of your choices. Like that's definitely a big thing they've already talked about. They supposedly left all very vague indeed. Do you think it will have a good storyline? Absolutely, Catherine. Absolutely. Again, I can't swear that it will, but I mean, it's got Drew Karpyshyn and James Olin. It's got a, pretty solid team of people. So I think, I think it's going to have a good story. I do. Like, just the team itself says a lot. Yeah, he's called CC Orlev, right? CC Orlev is what he's called. So his name is CC Orlev, or maybe that's just a code word. But he says, I'm CC Orlev, yesterday, today, tomorrow. So probably. What if he's like the president guy, John Henry Eden or something in Fallout 3? Maybe. Could he be the villain? Maybe. I don't know. The armors are called cataphracts, right? Yes, thank you, Statham. Cataphracts are what these armors are called that I talked about before. I can't find an image of them, but yeah, they're these big beefy armors that, in that video, in that teaser, it was shown to be used like in gladiator matches. Closed caption Orlev, yes. I think if you are a big sci-fi lover, you will be in heaven playing this game. I think so too. Yeah. I still want to find out more, of course, because there are still a bunch of stuff that we don't know yet. But world building wise, I would say this has the most attention any game has had from me, like in a very long time, because I love the world building. Aren't they the ones that made Mass Effect 1? Drew Karpyshyn wrote Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. He wrote the general idea of the stories. I don't really remember exactly what he wrote, but he was the lead writer. And then James Olin was a designer, gameplay designer, I think, for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. He was key to Baldur's Gate, and then he was the lead, I think, for Dragon Age Origins. So yeah, this game is some pretty good hands, I'd say. I think he's an observer. Yeah, he's probably something like that. I'm guessing that Matthew McConaughey is like, he's just watching somehow. It's going to be really interesting. Ankle deep in fishy water, you got a Carpician. Is the Observer like the Watcher from Marvel? Well, there. I don't think there, unless Satham says otherwise. I don't think there is a observer, but that he is maybe some kind of observer, that he like checks in on what June's doing and stuff like that. Remember that Carpician wrote Revelation, Ascension, and Retribution? Yeah. Exodus, Expanse, Dawnwalker are my 3 games to watch out for. Yeah, Dawnwalker looks really interesting as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they follow up on the stuff they've shown so far. I'm definitely interested in it, but there are small things that I think is really cool that they're actually listening to community when they're building the Blood of Dawnwalker. It's the Blood of the Dawnwalker anymore. It's the Blood of Dawnwalker. But yeah, it has some kinks I'm still seeing, but it's still like alpha, so you can't really expect more than that. James Olin also directed Jade Empire, right? Indeed. So yeah, I mean, guys, I think we're in good hands with Exodus for sure. And I'm gonna be releasing more lore videos, so if that's if that's of interest to you, remember to subscribe. I'll also be uploading exclusive content on Patreon as always, so if you haven't become a member over there, go check that out. Patreon.com/MrHolton. Anyway, next week I'll be releasing a new lore video. I'll also, in case you're like wondering, hey, what happened to that Mass Effect video? That is coming, I promise. Probably next week, actually, because I've already finished the script and stuff like that. So yeah, next theory video for Mass Effect is definitely coming next week. And I don't really know when the lore video is coming. I think it's going to be something like Wednesday or something like that. But yeah. So remember to check that out, guys. Exodus and Osiris are the 2 sci-fi games I'm looking forward to. Whatever Humanoid we're working on as well. Yeah, unfortunately, Humanoid isn't a thing anymore. So that was pretty sad to see that, collapse on itself. Unfortunately. Before you sign off, show Judas and Pragmata. Oh, those games. We'll do that next time. Thank you guys for checking out the stream, and thank you for being here and following and, being a supporter and all that. Again, take care, and I'll see you on, I think it's going to be Monday? Something like that. Anyway, take care, guys. Bye-bye, Mr. Holton.